Peace and Black Power family. It's your Harlem educator, author, and activist, Brother Ajay Taimba. We're going to be talking about a campaign to humanize Black traitors. Let's give some background. What is a traitor? A traitor is a person that technically commits treason. Treason is the betrayal of allegiance towards one's own country or nation, especially by committing hostile acts against that nation or aiding its enemies in committing such acts. So if you do something as an individual that betrays your nation, you commit a hostile act, or you aid your enemies of your nation in committing hostile acts, you are a traitor who's committed treason. The rest of what I'm going to say kind of builds on this. It's important we understand. In just about every single nation on this earth, being a traitor is one of the highest offenses, and it is usually punished by life imprisonment or death. This is something that is treated very seriously. Nations don't let traitors that commit treason get off easily. Black people don't have a formal nation in the United States. But one day we will constitute a formal nation, and we need to see ourselves as a nation, and we need to operate as a nation. Let me just make this even clearer. Black people that use their blackness, right, their knowledge of our slang, their pigment, their melanated skin, their knowledge of our culture, their bloodlines, to infiltrate, destabilize, and report back what we're doing to agencies of the United States government are traitors, and they are guilty of treason against the Black nation. Judas and the Black Messiah. This is a movie that just came out recently that's chronicling how this FBI informant named William O'Neill infiltrated and sabotaged the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party and essentially set up the assassination of its chairperson, Brother Fred Hampton, and Brother Mark Clark. Drew the map of where they slept in their apartment, drugged Brother Fred Hampton so that he would be unable to physically respond. The movie begins with the traitor giving an interview with the eyes on the prize, which really happened. The movie we're watching is kind of framed through the eyes or perspective of the traitor. It starts with him, and the movie ends with him saying that he's proud of his service to the Black community, that he was a stand-up man, that he was there in the streets when other people were on the sidelines. He's portraying himself like a hero, even though he's actually a traitor guilty of treason. What he did was a hostile act against the Black nation that actually led to two people being killed and almost led to the murder of Fred Hampton's wife and his little son, Fred Hampton Jr. Very serious offenses, family, that if you did this to, say, a president of this country, a senator of this country, a councilman of this country, an assembly person of this country, you would face serious consequences. You wouldn't just be a movie talking about you, and they certainly wouldn't allow you in the beginning and at the end of the movie to portray yourself as a hero. That would never happen, family. But they try to get you to take a position that goes against your own national and self-interest. That's Exhibit A. Look at the image that they have. Who's in the front? Who's in the back? Just look at that, family. This is propaganda. Imagery, the use of color, who's in the front, all of that is propaganda done in a specific way for a specific reason. You leave that movie kind of feel like, well, I understand why the guy did what he did, and maybe this was done so he could avoid jail. So we give him a pass, right? When I saw the movie, there's a segment where they have other people commenting on the movie. So they have these two identical twin brothers who are behind the movie, and they saying, seeing it through the eyes of the snitch guy, we relate more to him than we relate to the Fred Hampton character. What? They said we think the average Black person would relate more to the FBI informant than they would to the Fred Hampton character. What? Ooh, family, that is a very heavy comment to make. That shows a pivotal shift in consciousness. You would not hear anybody from my generation who's politically conscious say any shit like that. I can guarantee you. Would none of us say, well, yeah, I see myself as being more like the snitch than I do Fred Hampton? No, sir. That was disturbing to hear the directors of the movie say that. Let's go to Exhibit B. What I'm showing you is the attorney Benjamin Crump holding in a Ziploc bag a letter from a retired New York City police detective who supposedly, thinking that he was about to die from stomach cancer back in 2012, wrote this confession, called up a cousin in his family, had him come over and gave a verbal confession and basically said that, you know what, I worked for the NYPD's boss division, and one of the things I did was I was an agent provocateur to provoke two of Malcolm X's top security guards to engage in a conspiracy that would get them locked up. And once the government locked these two brothers up who had nothing to do with this conspiracy, this agent provocateur said, hey, let's blow up the Statue of Liberty. And once they started talking about it, they got arrested. Once they got arrested, Malcolm now was left without his two best bodyguards, his best members of his security team. So basically, the brother confessed to saying, I helped set up the assassination of Malcolm X. He also said he helped set up the Panther 21, the famous trial against the Panthers in New York City, by giving a bunch of fallacious charges. He's admitting to this. Well, now, the daughter of this man who supposedly wrote this letter is saying that the letter is a fake. Did he not do it? I guess we'll never quite know, but I will tell you this. All in this speech that the brother, his cousin was at Malcolm X Betty Shabazz Center showing the letter. He read the letter, and all throughout the letter, this cop is saying, I've carried this around all these years. It's breaking my heart. I didn't want to have to do this, and they forced me to do this. They coerced me to do this, and I did it against my will, and this has hurt me, and I've been holding it in, and I love Black people. Humanizing him, so that we say, let's not beat the poor brother up. They framed him, they coerced him. He felt bad about it. The brother's dying. Let's not beat him up. They want to humanize. They want Black people to look upon this as what he did was wrong, but we should not rush to judgment, because who knows, if it was us, we may have done the same thing. He made a bad decision. If he could go back and undo it, he would. We've humanized him. Instead of saying he's a traitor to our nation, point blank. We're not going to blame his family members. They knew nothing about it. But if he did that, he's a traitor to the nation. And in our nation, he would have been up on charges of treason, family, period. Now, this is Exhibit C. This is a movie that myself and the Queen just saw, a Lee Daniels film. The sister here, Andra Day, who is a singer, and actually gave one heck of a wonderful performance. But this whole movie is not just about her whole life. It's focused on the fact that she sang this song, Strange Fruit, and the government was trying to racialize narcotics trafficking and narcotics use. They were trying to conflate race with narcotics, much like Nixon did in the 70s. A so-called war on drugs that was in effect a war on Black and brown people. That's what was basically going on. We know this didn't just happen with Billie Holiday. We know that it happened with Ray Charles and a whole lot of other entertainers. But what is important for us to understand is why now? What's the point of this? Is the point of this for Black people to go, oh, wow, we learned about Billie Holiday, beautiful singer, tragic life, complicated life in terms of sexuality, in terms of certain choices she made, certain an unfair life that she led and had as a child? Or could there be a nefarious agenda that maybe even the director wasn't clear about? I'm going to say, yeah, you know why? Because family, and this cannot be accidental in all three of these examples. All of these are, but mind you, within the last 2 weeks, and all of these are during Black History Month. Okay? So in this movie, they're showing how there's a brother who's an FBI agent. He's going up in the club and flirting with her, kind of makes friends with her, but sets her up to go to jail, to be arrested for using heroin. Then once she knows that he did that, she stays, they have a relationship, and an ongoing relationship for years after this Black FBI agent set her up to go to jail. And they're in love. That's what they try to show, that this man loved Billie Holiday. Well, family, allow me to correct you. That's not love. You don't say you love somebody, lie to them, deceive them, work for the government to get them arrested, ruin their career, ruin their health, their life. That's not love. That's deceit. And that is traitorous. So it's like they humanize the black FBI agent who lied to get into Billie Holiday's good graces, used his proximity to her and his knowledge of how she got down to get her arrested. What I want to say to you is not so much what we should do to traitors, how we should treat traitors, how we should punish them, is that be very clear on what a traitor is. Be very clear on what treason is and why it's such a severe and serious offense to your nation, and why you cannot allow treason or traitors to go unchecked and unpunished, and why no nation on this earth allows a traitor or the act of treason to go unpunished. But they want you as a nation to be naive enough to embrace your traitors. Hey, I know he set this one up. I know he got Fred Hampton killed, almost got his wife and baby killed, and got Mark Clark killed. I know he got Malcolm X killed, but you know what? That was a long time ago. And people make, people make mistakes, and nobody's perfect. You know how we rationalize stuff? I get it, but you can't do that with treason and traitors, family. You can't do that. Please don't let these people lie to you and tell you that you should accept a behavior and a practice that they would never accept. We're not talking about Pookie and Ray Ray got the drugs and Pookie told on Ray Ray. This is much deeper than that. We're talking about people who do things to sabotage your nation, selling secrets to an enemy or rival nation, telling people about the movements and the thinking and the plans and the weaponry of your nation. I hope that you all understand what is going on. Nobody who works to destabilize our revolutionary organizations, nobody who works to report back intelligence about us to our enemies and governmental agencies, nobody that sets our leaders up to be assassinated should be celebrated in any way by us.